Buongiorno, buongiorno, buongiorno. Salutations, greetings, hello, and welcome and all of that. You know, it's me, it's Uncle Murray. Well, I got another bone to pick with Matt Walsh, I'll tell you right off the bat. And I know a lot of you might be thinking, that I'm picking on him, and I know how it might seem like that's what I'm doing, but that's only because that's what I'm doing. But I ain't trying to be mean, I'm just trying to be helpful. And it ain't just him, he's just the public face of the issues that I'm talking about. Because I agree with a lot of what he says, although the way he talks about it could use some improvement, You don't got to be such a stinker when you're talking about stuff. Because sometimes he'll explain something in such a way that I think, oh boy, that's fantastic. That's a great angle to come at that issue. My brain wasn't going anywhere that angle. Good job. But there's other times when he really swings and misses. And you can tell that he kind of knows that what he's saying ain't making a whole lot of sense. But for whatever reason, he can't admit it, and he just digs his heels in deeper. But like I said, it ain't just him. Sometimes he just happens to be the one that's providing the example of how not to respond to stuff as a Christian, so I gotta say something about it, But before I say anything about this one episode of his podcast, number, 976, I gotta say, this was pretty stinking funny.
My son did get stitches, and I was kind of proud of him for needing stitches. Though now he's getting a little bit competitive about his injury. And yesterday he tried to tell me that his injury probably hurt more than when I tore my Achilles. And I said, no, first of all, mine was worse. And I didn't even cry when I got injured, unlike you.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But anyway, in that same episode, he reads a question from somebody, and they ask him, can you give an objective reason why humans are special without using the human perspective or without using the Bible?
JB says, Matt, I have a serious question for you as a supporter. Why are humans special? Please answer without any reference to God and without self-referencing humans and the fact that you are one. Why are we objectively special?
And that's a real good example of why, as Christians, we can't set the Bible aside. Because the answer is, well, no, I can't, because it's an unanswerable question. Because the way they ask the question, not only can you not answer it objectively, but you can't even answer it subjectively, neither. They exclude the human perspective and the divine perspective, which only leaves all the other species, and they're stupid because you can't ask them because they can't talk. But even if they could, when you're talking about all the different species on Earth and what makes one of them more special than the others, you can't ask any of them species, because whether each one picks their own or they pick another one, either way, it's subjective because they're one of the species in question, you see? So I was real excited for a second because he said that he disagrees with the parameters. But then my excitement disappeared like a fart in the wind because he picked the wrong forbidden parameter to defend.
Okay, well, I don't know if I agree with the parameters you put in place here. I mean, the fact that I'm a human is indeed one of the reasons why I prefer humans, because I do prefer my own species. Is that irrational? I mean, I value and prefer and protect my own family over other people's families. What about that? So I would call this kind of sort of species chauvinism completely natural and good and necessary even. And that's even without any objective reason to justify it.
He tried defending the specialness of humanity from the human perspective, and by definition, that ain't objective, that's subjective. He called it, species chauvinism. Then Mr. Walsh was like, sure, I still don't gotta use the Bible to answer this one. Here, listen to these objective reasons why we're special.
But I do have objective reasons. What makes humans special over other species in the known universe? Well, we build civilizations. We also destroy them, but we do build them. We have language, we have art and science and music. We tell stories, right? We're rational creatures, some more than others, but we are, by our nature, rational. We are aware of ourselves and the universe, and we can contemplate what all of this means. So what makes us special? I mean, literally everything about us is special and distinct from all the animal species, would be my answer.
He lists a whole bunch of things that humans have accomplished that he sees as good and valuable and special as a human. But all them things are still subjective. The only way that you can judge whether something is better or worse than something else is if there's an objective standard to compare it with. Let's say to me and my buddy Larry, who want to figure out which one of us is the better bowler, right? Well, we'd have to talk about our techniques and we'd have to compare ourselves to the rules of bowling, right? And the rule book says that 300 is a perfect game. So whichever one of us gets closer to bowling a 300 is the better bowler. And whichever one of us gets closer to bowling a 0 is the worst bowler. But if someone says, no, you can't say who's a better bowler by describing your own techniques, and you can't use the rule book neither. Now tell me which one of you is the better bowler. Well, you can't do it, you loony bird. If you get rid of your own techniques and you get rid of the rule book, there ain't no such thing as a better bowler or a worse bowler. A 300 game ain't no better or worse than 0, it's just different. But Mr. Walsh said, sure, okay, I'll leave out the rule book and then I'll tell you why I'm a better bowler. And then he just goes on to talk about how good his techniques are. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm laying down, as the kids say? Because like I always say, I'm kind of smart, but I'm also stupid. So I don't know if my analogy is working or not. When he gives his list of stuff that humans have accomplished, he leaves out a whole bunch of other stuff that humans have done. Like how humans have slaughtered each other by the millions, by waging war with each other over the centuries and blowing the place up. And sure, after saying that we build civilizations, he admits that we destroy them too, but then he just sweeps that right under the rug. But there's other nasty things that we've done too, like the fact that we created slavery. And we treated millions of people like animals and property. And we made Chernobyl that screwed up a part of the planet so bad that nothing ain't ever going to be able to live there again without dying from radiation or growing an arm out of the top of the head or something. And we've made tons of water sources undrinkable, and we're responsible for the fall of creation by being the ones who brought sin into the world in the first place. And without an objective standard to compare all of that stuff with, none of them bad things are any better or any worse than any of the good things that he listed. They're just different, if you ain't got an objective standard. And the only thing that can judge whether them things are good or bad, or if one species is more special than the others, is something that's outside of it all. Something that's in charge of the rule book. Well, that can only be done by something that wasn't created and didn't come from Earth. And the only thing I can come up with is God. But you know what God thinks of the accomplishments of man for man's sake? Here, listen to this. They was building the Tower of Babel. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down in their confounded language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Wherefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound their language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. They said, hey, look what we can do. Our names are going to be great because of this. And then God put the kibosh on the whole thing. And you know what else the Word of God says about humans? Paul's quoting the Psalms when he says, as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are altogether become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good. No, not one. And in Isaiah 64:6, it says, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousnesses are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind have taken us away. So what makes humans objectively more special? 'Cause God made us to be special. Right in the beginning of the Bible, it says in Genesis, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And after Noah and his family and all the animals got off of the ark, God was saying, hey, look, nobody is allowed to kill no people. Because he says, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And that's just a couple of examples. Without the Word of God, the objective specialness of humans don't exist and can't exist. We're just another species preferring its own, like a bunch of arrogant chemical accidents. The Bible calls our reasoning foolish and broken and not like the mind of God. In the book of Isaiah, he says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And in 1 Corinthians, it says, "For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent." Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? And then this is a real good one, in the first chapter of Romans. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves wise, they became fools. What we value as good and bad changes over time. Slavery used to be thought of as good. Now most people think it's bad. Interracial marriage was thought to be bad. Now most people think it's fine. Most people thought homosexuality was bad, but now a lot of people think it's good. People thought parachute pants looked good, for Pete's sake. And if you're saying that human accomplishments are what makes us better than the animals, that's putting intelligence at the top of the ladder. And now you got to say why and how intelligence is better, but you got to be real careful about that. Because that kind of thinking could lead some people to think that more intelligent people are better or more valuable than people with lower intelligence. Or people who are more inventive are more valuable than people who ain't. And that can lead to some pretty crazy thinking. Value based on smarts or accomplishments between species or between people is not how God places value. Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast." We are valuable, we are special, because we were created in the image of God, and that's it. So as Christians, if we set the Word of God aside, if we don't use the Bible, there ain't nothing that makes us objectively special. There can't be nothing special about a bunch of unguided chemical accidents. Okie doke. Well, that's it. That's all I got at this particular point of time and space. So I'll talk to you later, my friend. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to get this here YouTube channel off of the ground. So I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and you gave me some of them thumbs up thingies too, okay? All right. Well, I'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.